an iconic director in film, and not only in film but also music videos too. David Lynch, he passed away this past week, I believe at 78 years old.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Really early, yeah, 78, and I guess he may have been over the past year dealing with like this battle with. I think his family said that he was battling something with his lungs. I forget what disease it was, but everyone knows who David Lynch is. Not everybody has seen many of his movies, but I think if you just know like just how people would describe his movies seem very like dreamlike, chaotic sometimes.
I mean, he's a guy whose existence became an adjective. I mean, like you hear people describe things as Lynchian, you know, and there's not many directors or artists that can say that they've done that they've achieved that, they've had such an impact that people can associate something, looking at it, it's like, oh, that's them, that's their name, you know.
No, so growing up, I've heard about his films, but never really got to dive into them or realize that he was the one who directed them. But when my wife, we were just dating at the time, she mentioned that, she loves Mulholland Drive just because of how like artistic it is and everything. I'm like, oh, okay. And because I liked her, I was like, I'm going to watch this movie immediately. So I went home, watched it that night, like rented it. And while I was watching it, I felt my brain melting because I had no idea what was happening. Characters were switching in and out and changing characters and faces and actors. And the next morning, I watched it again because I was like, maybe I was just too sleepy and I have no idea what I experienced. So I tried watching it again, and the same thing. I'm like, this is wild to take in. But that's like, again, the David Lynch kind of vibe that many of his movies, the people, how they interpret it. Have you heard of The Elephant Man?
I've not.
That's one of my favorite David Lynch movies that I didn't realize it was directed by him. But that one is a tearjerker. Dune, 1984. He directed Dune, the OG one, which I don't think holds up that well.
It's very different compared to the new ones that have come out. It's certainly it's certainly of its time. But you got to give him credit for taking on something like Dune. You know?
Yeah, because I think I've never read the books, but I heard like if you can put like half of what is in the book onto a screen, then you've succeeded, just because of how crazy the book is. But we have directors who are speaking out, honoring him. Steven Spielberg saying that he's a singular visionary dreamer. Ron Howard calling him a fearless artist who followed his heart and soul. And James Gunn saying, rest in peace, David Lynch. You inspired so many of us. David Lynch, again, passing away at 78. Yeah. So I think a lot of people are going to be going on a David Lynch binge-a-thon.
Oh yeah, I've already seen it on my Letterboxd. All my friends have been just like rewatching and reviewing all of his stuff again. It's definitely a good time for myself to go into a deep dive and really get that brain melting experience that he's so known for.
And his movies, again he's a director of a different time, but his movies are like, you can't have your phone out. You can't have your laptop out. You can't have distractions because you need to pay attention to the story, because it can take left turns like so wildly. Wild at Heart is another movie that my wife and I watched, which with Nick Cage. It's just chaotic. It's just chaotic. So David Lynch and a genius.
David Lynch and Nick Cage together sounds like a trip.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Do not take edibles or acid while watching a David Lynch film.